Hi and welcome. I'm Caroline Best of the Tao of Horsemanship, and this is Everything Horses and More blog. And today we're going to be revisiting, we are every time just about, understanding the basics of horse training. That's our number one. And that's the do's, the don'ts, and the myths. And I'm here to be a myth buster more than anything. Because if you guys all want to learn how to train your horses using my method, you got plenty of material out there. So this isn't really about training so much as it is educating you and giving you, yes, it is my opinion, but it's time tested both throughout history because I follow the great masters of horsemanship all the way back to Xenophon. And it's not just time tested, my opinion, it's also based on experience. And that's what I want to give you guys, is every time I'm out there busting on somebody, it's not because I think my way is better. Yes, I do. I do. Totally better for the horse and for you. Anybody that really values the relationship of the horse. And anyone that doesn't want to lose that relationship when you go into training. You shouldn't. It should be there all the time. It's like balancing love and leadership. You don't have to just love all the time and then be a dominant leader, which is not what I teach. You can love all the time and have leadership show up in you whenever it's needed, So today's Mythbuster, specifically, I'm going to pick on Monty Roberts. I've experienced Monty personally, and I certainly have in my days of going back to school and studying horsemanship, have studied him. And one of the areas that bothers me significantly, severely, and the most, and I've had a lot of people email me over the years and talk to me about this, especially when I used to be a clinician and present at the expos with my horses nationally. I would bring a lot more awareness to the word join up. And I know Monty Roberts has coined that, he's trademarked it, registered it. I'm just here to talk more about his method. I'm going to do a separate video on join up, or maybe this will become part of that video. We'll see how it morphs. But Monty Roberts' join up, to me, is not at all what I ever envisioned connecting on a deep level with horses and joining and having a horse hook on. It never felt right. Years and years and years ago, when I got back into horses and decided to make this a career and spent years studying other masters and figuring out how I wanted to bring my personal approach with horses into a solid training curriculum. And so I did study Monty, and immediately his join up and hooking on did not resonate with me at all. One of the bloggers asked me to do a blog video specifically on Monty and show the differences, and we will. We're going to be working with my big, beautiful, almost 18 hand Frisian sport horse, the black horse over there over the gator, Zor. So let's go reintroduce ourselves to Mr. Zor. And what I want you guys to just pay attention to is this is not a training video. This type of training video is really about talking and showing you and demonstrating and giving you some history and a lot of my personal experience, which is its own expertise in this area, and why. It's the big why. So there's a lot of talking. So if you want to learn how to get this level of join up and deep mental and emotional bond and connection with your horse, you can go and join my Mastery membership online training courses or come work with me. So just watch me with Zor. Watch everything I do with Zor, because it's all part of how I teach and train my join up, my deep connection with horses, and what am I looking for right now. So we're going to go in. There's Love Bug rubbing. Come here, love. So there's a level of join up right there. I specifically called Lovey over to me, and I'll do the same practice with Zor. But the point I want to make is I didn't have to go catch my horse. I never do. Even if they're out in the field, I may have to walk up to and be 20 or 30 feet from them. Sometimes all I have to do is whistle and they come running. So join up for me is not about a technique, y'all. I mean, I can teach you the specific practices and exercises, but it's a huge accumulation of them. It's a lot of stuff, especially the relationship and the bond that makes the horse want to join with you, connect with you, and stay with you, which is hooking on. So it's not so much a technique, and that's the biggest myth buster I want to present today. And again, I'm picking on Monty Roberts because he's coined join up. He's registered it. And join up is not about chasing a horse around a round pen until they basically give up and are exhausted. So Monty Roberts, the whole history of his join up back in the day was he discovered that horses, the wild horses, basically would tucker out and get exhausted after about a quarter of a mile of running them. So then let's put them in a closed environment like a round pen where they got to go around you and around you and around you for about a quarter of a mile. And then they eventually stop at a sheer exhaustion. And that's pretty much the history and purpose of his join up. Not to mention he puts in a flag, and I've watched him at the expos terrify horses with that flag. Terrify them. Panic so much that they're pushing their noses under the round pen to get out and away from him. And he's standing there laughing as he has this long 12-foot, back then it was a bamboo stick. Love, you're going to break the gate. You can't do that, sweetie. Come here. I'll get your tail, though. Come here, Bib. So I just smacked my horse and she's not afraid. Isn't that beautiful? Another part of my method. But I had to interrupt it or she's going to bust this. Look at this. We'll get your tail scrubbed. It's itchy because you're sweaty. So I watched him with a 12-foot bamboo stick and this flag attached to it and a nylon halter still on this horse in this round pen. And he was chasing this horse and it's petrified and the round pen's super tall. She's not going to go over it. She's trying to go under it. She's digging and pushing her nose under it. Half of my staff left in tears. I stayed for most of it, and it was an hour and a half long. After his half-an-hour advertisements, he got to work. But after about 20 minutes, I couldn't watch anymore either. And he berated this horse and called her names. Yes, he did. This is back in 2010 at the Massachusetts Expo. Called this horse the B word in names and talked about what a brat she was and how disrespectful while he's laughing and chasing. And the owners are sitting outside the round pen while there's thousands of us in the big Coliseum watching. And of course his horse would not face him. So there's no join up there. The horse can't look at you because she's afraid of you. So then he asks for another piece of his arsenal. He had a 20 by 20 tarp laid outside this round pen by one of his assistants that had 20 different pieces of equipment. I call it arsenal. So now this assistant handed him another long bamboo stick with a hook on the end of it. So guess how he got this horse? Stop. He hooked her halter. She stood there tight and defensive and trembling. And then he proceeded to be punitive and berate her again with choice words and talk demeaning about her nature and personality and laughing because he's quite the showman. At least he was. And then he proceeded to put a saddle on her, and they had worked with her the day before. This was the second day. There's 4 days to these expos. Maybe we were at the third day, I don't remember. I walked out. And I continued to take a look at him with his RFD TV or whatever videos I could find. And I was aghast because his way of helping horses trailer load was to bring a chain link fence, several people with chain link fence, and just squeeze that horse slowly onto the trailer. What? That was another thing that blew my mind. So enough about Monty Roberts and join up, because what he's done is he's taught so many other world famous clinicians and trainers, people on RFD TV, other names, that I'll mention later as we continue this specific video series. And they all use this technique where they either throw the lasso at the horse or they chase the horse around with the flag, and they're all cowboys or they're into natural horsemanship, and they're chasing these horses into submission. Clinton Anderson is another one of them. That's a whole nother series right there. And it doesn't have to be that way. And it shouldn't, because you keep the horse on their self-preservation mode. You keep them in their right brain, their non-thinking brain, their instinctual brain. And eventually the horse is going to choose one of 3 of those self-preservation modes. First, it's flight or fight, kicking out, maybe even coming after you. Very few horses are that aggressive. We teach them that. And the third is they're going to check out and freeze. So once they figure out the first flight zone, flight is always the first instinct a horse is going to take, always. Once they figure out that doesn't work and they can't get away from you, they might come into you, they might kick at you, but then they're going to give up. And you haven't taught them anything but to fear you. And you've taught them submission for sure. And there's a lot of trainers out there, even natural horsemanship trainers. So watch out the way they round pen horses, or even lunge horses online, or even work with horses yanking on them and being forceful with them. So I might have smacked Lovey's butt, but she's not afraid of it. And the first thing she's going to do is look at me and ask me, what did that mean? Do you have a problem? Did I do something? Because we have that level of connection and communication. That's what I teach. So that you can correct something and the horse not be afraid, not take it personal. They're that intelligent. But you have to start exercising that left mind, developing the left mind of the horse, the thinking side. And all Monty Roberts and people like that that chase their horses around, all they do is teach their horse to fear them and submit. You're not teaching the horse, you're not teaching the brain to think or even want to be with you. So thank you. I look forward to comments and our next video on the basics of horse training, the do's, don'ts, and myths. Who am I going to bust on next time? I look forward to hearing from you, and may you always be one with your horse.